Hi, welcome to the 14th episode of the New England Gal Knits podcast. I am Janet and I live in Massachusetts with my husband, our two boys, our cat, and our dog. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram at the New England Gal. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and if you're a new viewer, welcome to the podcast. I hope you enjoy it. So this is gonna be my buddy today. So this is Lego, our dog, who's a miniature husky, and he has been quite a pain lately. So this is probably my 5th time trying to start this podcast. I'm going with it. He's been a little bit of a nudge in causing trouble and making noises. So you gonna settle? Thank you. All right, hopefully he's good and he's settled and we don't have any more excitement from you. Right. So this episode, it may be a little bit shorter than it normally is. It's only been a week and a couple days since I've filmed last, and typically if you're a new viewer, I film every other week. However, a few weeks ago I ended up having to delay it due to a couple large snowstorms here in New England, but luckily it looks like that trend has stopped and hopefully spring is coming and all this snow we've gotten will quickly melt away. So with that being said, even though it's been only a week and a few days, I have managed to finish 2 objects, and one of them, shockingly, was done with less than a week. It was a quick, fun, easy knit, and I absolutely loved it. So, however, I think the first finished object I'm going to share is one I had shared on the last podcast, and it's not a knitting project, it's actually a crochet. So this is the chicken hat that I had talked about. There he goes. In my last podcast. So this is actually, it's called the Rooster hat by Shawn Torres. And I just knit this out of impeccable yarn that I had that was on sale at my local Michael's. So this was crocheted for my younger son, who he's in 4th grade, and he had a school project where each child was assigned a state, and they had to do research on the state and a presentation, and there was a state fair where they all had to dress up as either somebody famous or something that represented the state they were assigned. So he was assigned Rhode Island, and the state bird is the Rhode Island red. So he wanted to dress up as a Rhode Island red. So I found this crochet pattern on Ravelry, and I am a procrastinator. My older son is a procrastinator just like me. Thank God my younger son is very good at pacing himself and spreading things out during the time period. However, he had to have his costume ready for a Wednesday of last week, and I had just started this the Thursday before. Thank God crocheting is faster than knitting, because if I had to knit this, I would not have finished it. It was fun to crochet. I probably would not do it again. There were 10 individual pieces that had to be crocheted, which meant 10 ends that needed to be woven in. There was a lot of sewing involved, which seaming and weaving in ends are not my favorite part of knitting. They're probably my least favorite part of knitting. So as much as it was fun to crochet and it was really quick, and he loves it. I mean, it is, look at it, it is a fun hat, and I just love the little feet. And it came out really cute and he loves it. Someone else asked for one and I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to crochet it again. One was enough. And I'm not gonna put this on my head because it'll mess up my hair, but this is my first finished object. So my second finished object is what I am wearing. So this I cast on last Tuesday evening and I had it done yesterday morning. So this is the Ohra shawl, and this is by Caitlin Hunter. So here it is. So it was quick and easy. I loved loved knitting this. There's a cable that goes down the center seam with the increases, and I love cables. And the lace pattern, which normally lace is not my favorite, I tend to mess up, especially with yarn overs. I tend to mess up on them. I think that's why I haven't finished the Find Your Fade shawl, because I keep messing up on the yarn over sections of that shawl, and my count's off. I didn't mess up once on this shawl. I love the colors I chose. So what I did, I knit this out of, there's 2 Voolenvine yarns here. So this is Voolenvine on her Footsie base, and this is in the Mooncusser colorway. And then I had this left over for my exploration station, and this is Voolenvine on her Blitz base in the I'm No Bird. And then the cream color is Moonstone Dyeworks on her BFL nylon base in the Crescent Moon colorway. And then for the accent stripes, this is left over from both a pair of socks and from the Half Moon Oracle shawl. This is Anzula on their Squishy, which is an MCN base in the Fiona colorway. And then honestly, I mean, this was wound into a ball. I found this in my scraps. It's probably from one of my first projects. Because it's wound in the ball, I don't think I had my ball winder yet, so it is quite old. I have no idea what yarn it is. I think it's a sport base, and it feels like it could be alpaca in there. And I know I purchased it from Webs Online, and I went into my Webs account to see if I could find what it was, and unfortunately after a certain amount of years they knock your orders off, so I have no idea what yarn this is, but I use that as the accent color, and I absolutely love the way it came out. Now the Ohra shawl has some tassels, so put into some of the eyelets in 2 spots, and I went back and forth on whether or not I wanted to add that fringe into the shawl. And I looked at other projects online, and when it came to the neutrals like this one, I loved the fringe and the tassels, but I tried putting them on here and I didn't like the way it settled with the colored stripes. So I decided I wasn't going to put any of the tassels on it, and I love the way this came out. And it is light and airy. It'll be a perfect summer shawl too on those cool nights at the beach. So, but I'm thrilled, and like I said, it was so quick and fast to knit. It literally flew. It was, I love it. I think I will knit it again. I think I'm gonna stay with the more neutral tones, and I'll put the fringe on it when I do that. So the other thing is, so I knit it all out of fingering weight instead of sport weight. The pattern called for sport weight, so it is a little bit smaller than the dimensions for the original pattern. So I'll try and get a hold of some sport weight to knit it on. I did look to see if I could get the exact yarn because I love it. I love the colors, and I'm a copier. So, however, I could not, the brand, I don't know if it was hand-dyed yarn, and I don't know if it was it's from Europe, and unfortunately it was all sold out, so I couldn't get the colors to be able to repeat it. So I'll see if I can find something that matches. So that is it for my finished objects. And then as far as works in progress, besides starting and finishing this in the Rooster hat, there wasn't a whole lot of other things I had knit on. However, last weekend before I started the Ohra shawl, I did work a little bit on my Sunset Highway pullover, and I'm housing it in my fringe supply bag. So I made some progress on the body. So when I showed this last, I think I was only about an inch under the arms. And now I think I measured it and it was 7 inches now, and I have 15 inches to knit. So I'm about halfway through. So this is being knit out of, so the blue is, it's a sport weight yarn, and it's by Periwinkle Sheep in their Thunderstorm color. So, and then the top part of the color work is the Moonstone Dyeworks in the Crescent Moon colorway on her BFL base. So, and this is, I still have enough left over because this color won't be used at all in the rest of the pattern. So I've used it for this, I've used it for the shawl, and I still have enough. It's a little over half a skein left, and my socks typically only take 50 grams. So I do have enough to get a pair of socks out of this as well. And then for the second part, this deep plum, this is out of Knit Picks. And this is the Cordial colorway. And I can't remember, and I don't have the tag, but I can't remember if, I think it's the Stroll, and I'll put it in the down bar if I'm wrong, but I think it's the Stroll Tonal in Cordial. And then for the body, this is 100 Ravens, and they're 100% superwash merino, in their Jon Snow colorway, and here it is in the skein. So it has, I mentioned the last time, I decided not to alternate skeins because I did it for my Zweig, the body of my Zweig, and I did not enjoy the alternating the skeins at all, and I wanted to be able to sit and actually enjoy knitting the sweater. So I decided not to, and I had some doubts about the pooling and how it was striping, but I tried it on, and I love the way it's pooling. It almost has that, besides the stripe, looked almost like that 70s tie-dye look to it, which being a 70s girl, I absolutely love. So that is one of the other things I have been working on. And then the only other item I've been working on, and this is being housed in my Needle Craft sock sack in the cute little bee print. So these are socks for my younger son. So here is the first one. And here is, I think, the last time I podcast, I had just cast on the toe of the second sock, so of this sock. So I have, they're pretty much even at this point. They're not matching, and I'm okay with that. He's okay with it. He's a 10-year-old boy. He really doesn't care either way if they're matching or not. So I'm about even, so I have a little bit more I still need to knit before I start the ribbing on these. So these are being knit, here's the balls, out of Patons Kroy socks in the gray brown marl color. And these are being knit on, so normally my socks are 64 stitches on a US 1 2.25 millimeter needle. These are actually being knit on, these are Addi Turbos, and even though they're a US 1, they're a 2.5 millimeter. So I am doing 56 stitches, and I'm getting the same width as my typical socks. So these are going much faster because I have a lot less stitches on the needle. So, and I am doing an afterthought heel, and I had mentioned the last time on this sock, and I don't know how well you can see it, I put in this purple for my waist yarn. You can tell I'm getting old. You hit 40. They say you hit 40 and your eyes changed, and it definitely does. So with one of our nor'easters, we had lost power, and I was knitting these by candlelight. I had grabbed the nearest scrap of yarn I could find, which happens to be this purple, which is blending pretty well with this brown, so it's going to be a challenge to pick up the stitches for the afterthought heel. So with the second sock, I was smart and did a cream, so hopefully this will be much easier picking up the heel stitches for those. So I'm hoping I'll get these done by the end of next weekend. I was hoping to have them done for Easter, which is this coming Sunday, but I won't. No, I could. If I concentrated on this and put the sweater aside, I could have these done. We'll see. So these are the only socks I worked on for the last week, which is sad because I was so close. I'm so close to having the other pair of socks I'm working on that are being knit out of the black sheep fibers, where I'm halfway done the ribbing on the second sock, and I just have to put in both heels and I'll be done. So my goal is to get both these socks done, both pairs of socks done within a week. We'll see. Sometimes I set these high goals for myself and it doesn't quite happen, but we'll see. That's my goal. It would be nice to get these 2 pairs of socks done. I'd like to at least also in the next 2 weeks get the body of my Highway Sunset sweater completed and then work on the sleeves. So that is it for what I've been knitting on for the past week and a few days. So I did pick up a few things in the last week. I was at my local Barnes & Noble, and every once in a while they have some really good knitting books if you pick through them all. About a year ago I found Hannah Fettig's Home and Away book there and was able to purchase it. And I was there a couple weeks ago, and actually Hannah Fettig's Texture book was there. So I picked it up, and I'm a sucker for cables, and there's a couple cabled sweaters in here that I definitely want to knit. So the first one, and I just wanted to quickly show you some, is the Wharf Street pullover, which is, it's just a classic cabled 3/4 length sleeve sweater. I love 3/4 length sleeves. If you can't tell, I'm constantly pushing up my sleeves anyways, so the 3/4 length sleeves are perfect for me. And then the other sweater that had caught my eye was the Pier Side cardigan, and again, another gorgeous cabled sweater. She was running a sale, I would say a year ago as well, on her Patons on Ravelry, and I also picked up the Coastal pullover and the Coastal cardigan, which again are cabled sweaters. I'm a sucker. I love cables. I love the way they look. Love everything about them. But while I was there and picking through, I also saw this Simple Color Knitting book, and by Erica Knight. Look at these. I love this cowl. This is beautiful. And the other thing that had caught my eye, and it's color knitting, so it's not just color work, it's different color techniques. So there's a Marl sweater. I love big chunky oversized sweaters, and this caught my eye. And then the other thing was this is color work, these cute little fingerless mitts. So I picked up these 2 books, and I do have a Barnes & Noble membership, so I was able to get a little bit of a discount on those, which I'm a sucker for sales in discounts. So the other purchase I made, well, let me start with, I guess, and it's part of dream knitting. I was on Ravelry searching through the patterns like you do, and I came across this shawl pattern that I fell in love with. It is the 800 Yard Dash by Jill Zielinski, I believe is how you say her name. And the textured in the stripe, I fell in love with it. I fell in love with the colors, absolutely in love with it. I didn't look to see if it was released yet. I went right on to Knit Picks and purchased yarn for it. So, and then of course I get onto Knit Picks, and it's free shipping if you spend over $50, and I was a few dollars away from that $50 free shipping, so I did pick up this canvas tote from them as well. So here is the yarn I purchased. It's all wool of the Andes. It's a worsted weight shawl. So, let's see. So I picked up are these all? Yep, these are all superwash. So this is in Dove Heather. And we've got Deft Heather. And then Grass. So I picked these up, and I was so excited when they came in the mail that I ran and I went to go purchase the pattern, because, so this was last Tuesday. So ran to purchase the pattern so I could start knitting on this. Well, this shawl was for a kit done by Plucky Knitter last May. The pattern's not being released until May 14th of this year. So I have it on my calendar. May 14th hits, purchasing it, and I'm knitting it. So I can't wait. And this just to me screams spring and summer. The navy with the bright green. I love this combination. I actually have a navy jacket with the green piping. I love navy and green together. So that is it for my purchases. I did have a couple things I just wanted to, like things I want to cast on soon. So I had, at the beginning of the year, took sock yarn, put them out per month, what I was going to knit, and I stuck with it. So I'm still on my last Irving sock, which was February's sock. So I haven't even finished that. So I have not started March's sock, but I wanted to share it with you because I'm excited. I can't wait to get it on the needle. So I am going to be knitting the Speckled Space Socks by Amanda Stevens, and I am going to be knitting it out of Artistic Lilies in Baby Light My Fire colorway, and this is on her 80/20 merino nylon. And I love her yarn. I knit the Pavement sweater out of her Gotta Have Shawl base, which is 100% merino base in her blush colorway, and it was the first sweater I had finished start to finish, and I love that sweater. I love the color. Her yarn is just stunning, so I can't wait to get this started. And then the other thing that I want to get started as soon as I finish Ryan's socks and as soon as I get those heels on the Black Sheep fiber socks, I am going to cast on this striped sock. I am a sucker for striped socks lately. And this is the Yarn Jar in her Snowbird colorway. And she's so cute. There's a progress keeper that comes with each of her balls of yarn and a cute little owl there. So that will hopefully within the week be put on the needles. So that is it for all of the knitting content that I have. So as far as what I've been up to, not this past weekend, but the weekend before, my youngest son and my husband went camping at Battleship Cove, which is in Fall River, Massachusetts, and they actually slept on a battleship in little, it almost looks like the pictures of it, and if I can find a picture to show you, it looks like little cots, almost like shelving against the wall, 4 cots. So they were able to sleep on that, and they did the whole tour of the battleships, and they had a great time. It was a little chilly and windy right there on the coast. My son, he went for Cub Scout, so he had his Cub Scout uniform on, which includes like a baseball hat, which got blown off his head and is probably sitting down at the bottom of the bay somewhere. But he had the best time, which was great. And then my oldest son was supposed to be camping as well. However, the cabin he was supposed to stay at was damaged with one of the nor'easters that we had come through here. So he was home. So he ended up, this winter, he's been playing futsal. And for those who aren't familiar with it, it's a type of indoor soccer, but it's played on like a basketball court. The rules are completely different. This was the first time I had taken him to a game. My husband normally takes him. I get confused with soccer, with offsides and following those rules. There are no offsides, but there was even my father played soccer through high school. He played for University of Maine throughout college, so my father knows soccer really well. He had no idea of the rules and could not follow the referee's calls at all, so I didn't feel so bad. But he had a game on, it was St. Patrick's Day, it was March 17th, and then, so my dad came with us, and then we ended up going out for burgers afterwards. So that was that weekend, and then this past weekend on Friday, my older son, who's in the 7th grade, had a dance, and it was not necessarily a semi-formal, however boys wore shirts and ties and girls wore dresses. It didn't have to be fancy dresses, but it was a dress-up dance. So he ended up going to that and having a great time. And while he was there, my younger son and I went to a local Mexican restaurant in Worcester called Mezcal, and we ended up meeting with a couple friends, and there were a couple of my oldest son's friends who didn't want to go to the dance, so there was a large group of us who ended up there for margaritas and Mexican food. So that was a great time. Then the next morning, one of my friends texted me, and she's like, you want to check out this donut spot, which is in Millbury, called Iachos Donuts? And I'm like, sure, we'll meet there, and then we'll bring them back to my house and enjoy them. 30 minutes outside in the freezing cold to stand in line to get donuts. They were really good. I don't know if they were worth the 30 minutes in line. They were definitely much better than your Dunkin' Donuts. They were excellent, and I would get them again. Not regularly, but they were very good. And if you're in the area and you want something different, I would definitely check out Rocco's in Millbury. And then on Saturday night, because we hadn't been out to eat enough, we ended up taking the boys down to Providence, to Federal Hill, which is where all the Italian restaurants are. We took them to Casamino's for dinner. So my oldest son made high honors, and then my youngest son, so in the 4th grade in elementary school, they don't do the ABC system at all for grading. It's numbered, but he did excellent on his report card as well. So we ended up taking them out to dinner to Casamino's, and the food was amazing. I had a sea bass with a caper lemon sauce and artichokes. My oldest son got chicken parm, and it was massive. He ended up eating a good portion of it, and we still got 2 meals out of what we had taken home. And then I'm trying to think, my husband ended up getting the osso buco, which was amazing as well. You know, we all shared each other's dishes, and then my younger son is addicted to shrimp, so he ended up with the shrimp scampi, which was delicious as well. So we ended up doing that, and that was about it. My husband does fantasy baseball, so he had 3 drafts this weekend, and so he was busy with that. So I did get quite a bit accomplished knitting this past weekend, because other than going out to dinner and getting donuts, it was sitting around and knitting all weekend, which was nice. So that's basically it, and there's nothing really coming up. Easter's this coming weekend, so my boys are altar servers at church, and we typically, for Easter Mass, we go 7 a.m. a Sunday morning. It's the fastest Mass. My boys, at 9 o'clock Mass is the children's Mass, and they do an Easter egg hunt afterwards. But my boys are out of that now, so we tend to go to the 7 a.m. Easter Mass. However, they're short service for Easter Vigil, which is late. It's 7:30 p.m. on Saturday night, and it is a long Mass. It's a couple hours, 2 to 3 hours long. So we were called and asked if the boys could serve because they were having problems finding people. And unfortunately, I guess fortunately for them, unfortunately for me, I have a hard time saying no to people. It's something I've been trying to work on, but I'm not very good at it. So I said yes, so we'll go to the Easter Vigil Mass, and then my mom is having Easter. They just redid their kitchen, so my mom's very excited to have everybody over in their new kitchen, which is just, it's beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. I'm jealous. So that is it, and I don't think anything else is going on. No, absolutely nothing else. So that is it. So anyways, I hope you all have a great 2 weeks ahead, and if you do celebrate Easter, happy Easter, and I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.